Welcome to the present moment. Welcome to the Darla Beam Leadership and Coaching Podcast.
Hi there. My name is Darla Beam and I'm with DB Leadership. And in this episode, we are going to be talking about boundaries. And I'm sure you've heard about boundaries. A lot of people talk about boundaries. There have been some great books written about boundaries, and I'll include them in the comments below. You can check them out if you haven't already. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into boundaries today, and how this conversation will be different is that we're going to tie boundaries into leadership and success. So if you're anything like me, I have felt like up until the last little while, maybe the last couple of years, felt like, yeah, I'm good on boundaries. I have read the books, I've done the work, and the reality is I'm good maybe about half the time, holding boundaries, creating boundaries, and that kind of thing. So let's start with talking a little bit about what boundaries actually are. Boundaries are the invisible fences that we put up around ourselves, either physically or mentally or psychologically, to sometimes keep us safe and to sometimes to honor the things that are important around us, and really to help us live our most fulfilled life. And so I'll give you an example of that. A boundary that I have in my practice actually is that I only work with clients who are empowered. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that later. But if a client is really in resistance, and this is not just clients, but if a client or one of my kiddos, or if I'm in a relationship with someone, or a sibling or family of origin, and the person is in the drama triangle, they're feeling like a victim and they want to be there, my boundary is great. You can be there, and I don't work with victims, just the victim perspective, rather, I should say. We all actually are at some point or another. I myself am a victim 87 times a day, is what I like to say. So I'm definitely not criticizing victims, and we're not talking about victimhood where something has actually happened to a person. This is a perspective of the world. And we're going to go into that a little bit more here in a bit. So that's actually one of my boundaries. I get passionate about working with people who want to commit to changing, to choosing to change. Another boundary that I have is a boundary around my health. I put first my health, and everything else sort of falls in line after that. So the things that come up and want to interrupt my practices that I do to keep myself healthy, that is a very hard boundary. And I do yoga several times a week, and I put those things on the calendar first. And there are other health values, other ways that I honor my health value. But this specific one, I put it on my calendar. Everything else aligns around that. And that's how I hold that boundary. So those are just a couple of examples of what boundaries are. You can probably think of a few yourself. You may have some at work with coworkers, or even with your boss. You might have some with employees or with your team around how much or how little work that you will do or how you will contribute. We all have boundaries, we just may not be conscious of the boundaries. So through this conversation, I'm going to really invite you to think about, okay, where are my boundaries? In different aspects of my life, my relationship, my kids, my parents, my work, and boundaries with ourselves. That's one thing that doesn't get a lot of airtime, is boundaries with ourselves. So I'm smiling because I'm thinking about boundaries that I create in my own mind and that sometimes I want to step on. And so here's the thing about boundaries and that we create on our own. Our boundaries that we create consciously or unconsciously align to our values, the things that are most important to us. I already talked about one, that's health for me. Family is a really important value for me as well, which probably resonates with a lot of people. And this one can be tricky too. So my boundary with my family is that I spend specific blocks of time and that I'm present with them. And so it can get crazy. It can get so busy. And a boundary that I have is that we take time during the weekends to have some downtime. And that's a boundary that we have. So no matter what comes up, the boundary is we're going to take hopefully a day in an ideal world, but even if it's just ends up being, an hour or 15 minutes to just kind of sit down, connect, do our high, low, aha, and then plan our week together. That's really something that is a very strong boundary. It keeps us aligned as a family. So that's a boundary that I have in my mind. Another boundary in my mind is sort of around my practices to keep myself present. There are a number of different things that I do to sort of bring myself to the leader within, to get myself grounded. And I find myself sort of giving those things up sometimes. That's a really tricky one. So what does that mean to leadership, and why are we tying this into leadership? Why is it important? At the Leadership Academy and at DV Leadership, what we teach is that everyone is a leader. You are leading your life, whether you are running a business or you're running your family or you have a book club. You are making choices in your life and leading your life. And when you are on purpose, when you are leading, you are honoring your boundaries, and boundaries are built around your values, right? So I'm making a little square here. Here are your values. Boundaries are made to protect those values. And when you're honoring your values, you are a leader. You are grounded in your leader within. And the opposite of that is when we don't have boundaries, when I don't have boundaries, I am stepping on my values. And chances are I am not being a leader. And we like to point to a model of victim and leader or creator. So on the one hand, we have over here victim, and over here we have creator / leader. Okay, victims, the world happens to me. That's the perspective. That's how I see the world. And over here we have leadership and creator. And creators literally create the world around them. They know that what happens around them is a product of what they put out. So we talk about creating our boundaries, honoring our values. And when I'm not doing that, I am in the drama triangle. I have a victim perspective, and I am not living my most fulfilled life. I'm not on purpose. And leaders are on purpose. So it's something that I'm always striving to do. And like I mentioned earlier in this conversation, I fall off the model a lot, you guys. I like to say 87 times a day, I fall off the model. Whether that's in my mind or out loud. I find myself doing it a lot in my parenting. And the question is really, about recovering to what do I want to create in the world? And it's a choice. So I'm always asking myself, what am I choosing right now? Am I choosing to be a leader? Am I choosing to create my world? Or am I choosing to be a victim? Because I get to choose every single moment. And that starts with having good boundaries. So, how to set good boundaries? That's the question. And how to enforce good boundaries. So, here's the thing. Setting boundaries in the moment when I'm frustrated, when I'm angry, when I'm triggered, when I'm feeling anything but not resonant, not 100% aligned, or maybe not 100%, but, pretty grounded in my leader within. That is, so if I am not there, then that is not the time to create boundaries. The time to create boundaries is when I'm calm, when I'm clear, when I've had some time to reflect, when I sort of can take a look and take stock, look around and say, what's important to me or what's not working in my life right now. What's not working is taking time to really focus on my work and dedicate space, create a container, and really just dial in and give it all my energy. I say that sort of tongue in cheek because there are times when I definitely do that. Is it 100% of the time? No. So this is a stretch to figure out from where I'm at today to where I want to be and take baby steps toward that. And so the question is how do I want to do that? Sit down, make a list. Where do I want to be stronger? That might mean, for me, blocking time. It might mean blocking an office space. It might mean creating boundaries in my household and asking for support, asking for help. What I'm curious about is, what kind of boundaries do you need in your life, do you want in your life, and how could that impact your leadership? So I want to challenge you to click off of this broadcast and sit down and write a list of 3 areas where you can improve your boundaries and how that might impact your life. And have a conversation with someone close to you about it, about how you can do that. So go ahead, do that right now, and I look forward to hearing about it. Comment below, write in the chat. Really excited to hear how it goes. Thank you for listening and watching, and be sure to subscribe and like and share this if you got something out of it. Thank you.